We be going live. Uh, it's setting up. Done. Redirecting to YouTube. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are having a fabulous mastermind here with these amazing ladies, and we just got done with a great session talking about funding options for our TV shows. Well, there are a few different ways to get money in case you hadn't figured that out. And some of the ones are right here. If you're sharing your information, having your TV show, whether it's going on YouTube, Facebook Live, or wherever else you're putting your show, you need some money to fund it, right? And today we were talking, one of the things we were talking about was where are you going to get that money? Well, sponsors are one. People always ask about that. Well, there's, grants, and then, there's self-funding. Of course, we can, always pay ourselves, which a lot of us don't want to do. Well, there's how to get investors and do co-op marketing and crowdfunding. So these are some of the things we were sharing. So what we're going to do now is just kind of go to our cast members, and they're going to share with you some insights of the training that we just went through, the masterminding that just happened. So without further ado, let's get our cast members in. So ladies, we were rocking. We were rocking, ideas of flying. And so who wants to share some of what happened? There we go. The fabulous Furley, you are on. Go for it.
Show me the money. Well, we have all of our blessings and talents, but obviously it takes money to be able to put ourselves out there. And many of us, especially the really heart-centered ones, find it so uncomfortable to talk about money. The business part, we sometimes elude from. And there's, I love this segment because it got me out of my comfort zone about talking about the business part of being a celebrity that we are. And I love, of course, that there's the usual sources of income, the money sources of income, such as sponsors, grants, self-funding, investors, and crowdfunding. But the one that actually resonated to me the most, it was more like what does Angela call it? The flashing light of the obvious. What is that? Anyway, that my big aha was the co-op marketing, because I've co-authored anthologies. And I realized that was actually a low-hanging fruit, because those people are on the same arena where I am at, an author, a coach, a speaker. And each one of these fantastic women that I actually had a chance to work with in the anthologies have value to share with the world. And I said to myself, why did I not think about that? Because these are the people who would be so eager to share their message and their value to the world. And I would be able to actually give them the forum, the platform to be able to reach as many people as we would jointly be blessed to share our blessings with. And so thank you very much. So for me, that was my aha moment. And now I'm actually a lot more comfortable putting myself out there, inviting people to share their gift through my show.
Well, Furley, that was actually just fabulous, because here's the thing. If they are already in that mindset of sharing information, if they've already created anthology books, that they understand co-op marketing, even though they don't know it by that name, but they're in that mindset. So they would be very easy to actually go and collaborate with, because they're in a collaboration mindset. So good on you. So let's find out what happens next week, because you're going to come back with a whole bunch of co-op marketing partners, aren't you?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, ladies, who's going next? Let's see. Lynn, go for it.
Okay. I'm so excited, because those BFOs that Furley was talking about, just actually have been coming all week long. So tonight was no different in that this list of funding sources and funding options have always been available to us, but how often do we get to actually see this and say, oh my gosh, I've got so many things to select from. And the first thing we think about is I have to self-fund, but that is not necessarily the case. Being a funding strategist, I see these all the time, and it's going through my brain all the time as far as selecting the best thing, even when it comes to building a crowdfunding campaign. You're doing the same thing when you're setting up your list of marketing channels. Where am I going to go? And then selecting what you're actually going to use. But the thing that really got me today was the last thing that you said, Anne, was about be clear on your stories. Go into that story vault. You've mined these stories, use your compiler tool, mine some more, have them in the vault, have them categorized, and then depending on what you're doing, really go and take a look at what those stories are so that you can identify the ones that really fit for if I'm being interviewed on a podcast or on a web TV show, or if I'm interviewing someone. What stories can I bring in that are relevant to their stories? And one of the things that you talked about was asking the right questions. And I think it's key to ask the right questions to bring those stories out of others. And at the same time, if you're clear on what's in your vault, those stories that match, that enhance your speaker's points will be easily made. And of course, the whole, don't have a story without a point and don't have a point without a story. I think this training is just brilliant. Thank you. I am so blessed to be a part of it, to be networking with these wonderful women. I think that, yes, we're all global difference makers, but now we're even more of our global difference making selves because of what we've been learning here.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you, Lynn. It's inspirational. So let's see. I see Krystal with a big smile. Go for it, Krystal. You're on.
This segment really is pulled it all together for me, Anne, and thank you for your gift shift. And I just know I've always come from a place of the self-effacing and the nurturing and the giving, and the co-marketing, like Furley had mentioned, and Lynn, getting our gifts out with those experts that we're already connected to. I mean, and building our TV show from the interviews to the questions. So many ideas came out of this segment for collaborating and not having to do it ourselves, because we can't. We've got to build to make a global impact in the world, collectively building and working from those people that we're already connected to from the heart. And it is about our personal story, the gift shift, and pulling from those experts that we're already connected to. A big light bulb went on for me today in co-marketing. And it will be the basis of my whole TV show. Getting the experts' tips out in the world and making a difference in millions of lives. And this program and what you've put together, I'm blown away. So thank you for your gift. And this amazing group of women, this panel, collaborating and sharing, and the questions you gave us today, if we are invited on a podcast show. What kind of marketing are they doing? How are we creating the gift shift and making a difference in the globe? Very valuable. So thank you. Thank you for your gift shift. And
You are very welcome. Thank you. It's just amazing the different perspectives if we just take the time to actually just look at it. And I love that all of you are taking it and customizing it to fit. And that's the whole thing with this. It's once you know your story, it fits anywhere. And you're being interviewed, it comes out. And the funny thing is that most of us don't think about it, but when we're watching an interview, the people that we walk away with are the ones who share something personal about them. It's not the tips that they get, it's that there's something personal that they shared. We can visualize, we're building a relationship with them as they're sharing their stories. We walk away feeling like we know them. It's building a relationship. And then it's like, oh, when we hear the name again, it's like that's good. The good feeling, that connection that we felt goes right back in there. And so think about all the people that impact you in any way, the ones that you love to listen to. You know something personal about them and they have made a difference in your life. Okay, so ladies, who is next? Nadia, go for it.
Hi, Anne. So, like Krystal was saying, thank you so much. And I think what I really need to thank you about is that you made something that has always seemed out of reach to be, not only within reach, but there's also a strategy. That's what I love, is that there's a plan of action, there's a strategy, there's steps to take and questions to ask, and just instead of just going in blindfolded and thinking, where do I start all of this information? It was juicy with ideas, the whole segment, but what I really loved was the fact that there's a process in place, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, systems are us. I love systems. I don't do anything without systems. I can't function without systems. Thank you. And lovely Leslie, you are on.
It's very interesting following on from what Nadia says and, from what you actually sort of gave us today. I mean, you talk about systems. I love systems. I'm a list maker. And I love crossing things off and sort of, when they've all got their place. But what I really noticed from what you gave us today was it's very easy to get caught up with the fact that we think that something only has one place. And with the system that you created there and the way that you presented it was showing us that actually everything doesn't have just one place. It had multiple places, multiple uses, multiple opportunities, not only just for us, but for others in that collaboration. And that was my BFO for today, because I really felt, oh my gosh, yes. So it's not just there, it's that multi-level, and that was really, really eye-opening for me.
Wow, that is huge, because once you start looking at it, that this is your story and your perspective on what you see in a situation, and this is how you would use something. This is how you would use a certain tool. This is what you would advise somebody. And it's amazing what happens once we give ourselves permission to look at things from different perspectives. The ideas come flooding in from really all different places. Memories come flooding in. And usually what happens to us is that people tell us, well, if you do this, this, and this, you will get that result. Well, that's one size fits all. And we know one size does not fit all. And so just by giving ourselves permission, like you were saying, Leslie, that it's one story. There are different perspectives on the story. Well, how can it help this person? How can it help that person? How did it help me? Once we open up to the possibilities, all of a sudden you can see, oh, I can use this story in doing a coaching. I can use this story to answer somebody's question. I can use this story to be interviewed. I can share this story when somebody's, when I'm interviewing somebody. Then all of a sudden you can see one story goes to many different places, because one story has many different aspects to it. And this is the beauty of it, because it's like a chain reaction. and the more you use it, the better you get at it too. So I'm so thrilled that all of you are really getting the impact of this. It's my story, and I'm going to use it any way I want. So there.
I think also the other side of that was that, you know, going back to the collaboration, it really is about sort of like, you know, you say, oh, my story, you know, the effects, the what I've learned from all the different perspectives, but that link on how it goes through to the other person and what they're giving you as well. And then that whole sort of like spreading out from them as at the same time, and that whole sort of, you know, like web that just keeps connecting with those invisible sort of threads that we all sort of talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it too is that when we're interviewing or we're being interviewed or however we're using, we don't say, well, in my story, we say, in my experience, in my opinion, in my, you know, so when you say in my experience, nobody can dispute it. And you know, nobody can dispute it because it's your experience and it's your opinion. You're entitled to it. They can say they don't agree with you, but they can't say your opinion is wrong or it's not true. It's your opinion. So once we start looking at the stories from like, what is the experience in this? In my experience, this when I do this, that happens. In my experience, when that happens, here's how I feel. And so, or once you start looking at it, you know, as I've been putting this program together, I started looking at the questions that are being asked. And how the different perspectives, the different ways I had to explain it. And I can change the program mechanism and the way I explain it as I see fit. And giving myself permission with that was a huge aha moment with that, if you will, because a lot of us have told us, well, to create a program, you have to do this, then you have to do that, then you have to do that. And I found out that one size again doesn't fit all. Bringing in my experience into it and allowing myself to kind of free flow. And what I'm finding is that people are really agreeable with it. If they know why you're doing something, they go with it. And this is where I want all of you to understand your story, your experience, the way you teach, the way you coach. It's your style. Be true to the way you experience life, be true to the way you teach people, be true to the way you coach people, because the right people are going to resonate with you. Like so people who are like very structured, they would not be very good working with me because I create on the fly. You know, I am constantly coming up with ideas, and people who just they need structure in every aspect of it, they would get very frustrated working with me. But people who are very creative, they would love to work with me because I always keep them engaged because we're masterminding together, co-creating together. So knowing myself, how I am, when somebody is not the right fit, I don't get offended because they don't like the way I teach. I focus on the people who like the way I teach, who thrive in my environment. And that's where the gift shift comes in, because if we focus on the people who thrive within our environment and our style and understand our languaging, you know, I'm not talking about language, verbal language, I'm talking about us, how we come across, because how we show up with people, they can tell we care about them or not. And not standing on formalities, that's the way I am. So as a matter of fact, I'm very careful to let people know in advance, this is how I function, because I don't want to, you know, I don't want somebody getting frustrated with me getting frustrated with them, because that means that they have somebody else who's supposed to teach them. And this is a big part of this, being true to ourselves. And once we look into our stories, I found a lot of things about me recently that I had forgotten. You know, a lot about my personality just by walking through the process with you and doing the gift shift program with all of you. I'm going through it as you are. And man, is it fun? That's it. Okay. Well, anyways, everybody, listen, thank you so much, ladies. Another fabulous, fabulous fun time. And we'll see you same time next week for another great training. And those of you in YouTube land or Facebook land, look for another wrap up. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.